gentlemen in the studio. I think all Nigerians have and we're anticipating for that refinery or refinery to be done, and hoping that it will come in and help out with the full issues we're having. And along the line, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority alleged that there were issues with the products of the Dangote refinery. And it came with a lot of controversies and all of that. But let me get your views. What are your views on the fallout between the two parties? Let me just have yours. Okay, Mr. Shomari looks pained.
I feel so demoralized, and I still feel very ashamed, that in this same country in 2024, what seemed to have caused the downfall or, impediments even before independence, those factors are still being played out in 2024, when even countries like China were already on the moon. So we are still talking of issues that almost got discussed before independence here. Now, do you know how much successive governments have spent on FDI, junketing between Nigeria and Europe and United States and Asia, asking for foreign direct investors? I don't know if all these are to interest of the common man. I used to think they are for our own common good, but now I'm beginning to see that it's all for the estakos. Now, how do I explain to my friend in United States or to my friend in Europe that a refinery that cost about over $20 billion and that spread across a landmass more than VI, that money that could have been taken out of this country, but is domiciled here and has the capacity to employ thousands, direct and indirectly. Now, another regulatory government agency of the government came out on a national TV and international media even picked that up. That look, this thing has churned out fake products. I mean, how do you do that? I don't know. How did you go to bed as a regulator demarketing such humongous investments? Then the confidence that has been built from all this junketing here and there, come and invest in my country, even though we do not have all the infrastructures, and people have taken it upon themselves that look, this country must be good. I don't want to know how Alhaji Aliko Dangote got his money. What is he doing with the money now? Is he trying to take people out of unemployment market? Then he took some kind of panic visits by the House of Rep, some of them to that place, and I saw them testing, and I became more ashamed. I mean, so it has to get to that point where the House of Rep principal officers of the House of Rep had to visit the place, testing the lab. We were making mockery of us, of our nation in a democracy. After over 20 billion investments. Now, you said it to the global audience that look, this, as if that wasn't enough. He said, look, he hasn't even been licensed. Whew. How do I go?
Whose fault?
Whose fault?
His license in his business.
How do I explain?
These agencies.
How do I explain to my kids in secondary schools, in primary schools that look, I don't know. So, and since some people had always said the country has been cursed. I don't want to believe so. I'm not that thought, line of thought. So, but whatever is happening now, I hope again there is a NADECO activist in Aso Rock. And what NADECO fought ferociously for, many died, and many never got their senses back because they were locked up in dungeons. And the Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a NADECO kind of government, and I do not want to believe this is what people died for. The Femi Aborisha days, what they suffered for, the Femi Kuti, Chief Gani Fawemi confirmed that his lung cancer actually emanated from the tear gas of many years. Look, what I'm saying is that we have the chance to get it right. We are not getting it right, and we have a NADECO president in Aso Rock. We want him to implement all those NADECO. The Dan Suleimans, the day Abraham Adesoya was ambushed at Falomo Bridge. No. So what we are saying is that we can't afford to forget all this in a hurry. And because of that, the Dangotes and the investors that are on board to make life meaningful must not be demarcated.
All right.
Well, you see, the oil sector remains the sick baby, the sickest baby of the Nigerian economy, and it's because we've had, peers and government regulators who have not over the years, over decades, been ready to play by the rules. Then the NMDPRA man, should tell us whether they have a lab. Because there's talk that they don't have a lab. The NMDC doesn't even have a lab. That they depend on private laboratories to test products. So where did he get his own analysis? A regulatory agency doesn't have a lab. It's a global embarrassment. That's one. Secondly, that's what they talked about some people having NMDC officials being involved in the ownership of a blending plant in Malta. Now, from that, a conversation has arisen about actually that there are Nigerian businessmen who own a blending plant in Malta. And then some people are trying to fight back the trade between Nigeria and Malta is not what we're asking about. That's not what we're talking about. We should always make arguments, make debates in context. That's why you see some people say, don't analyze the nation's economy based on GDP. Because the Nigerian economy is largely informal. And a lot of the activities in the informal sector are not captured in your GDP rating. So why will you use GDP, for instance, to rate Nigeria? What you're just doing is like winking in the dark. Nobody's going to see you. So now, the refineries, state-owned refineries, have remained comatose.
I think Nigerians have given up on that.
But no, they told us that next month. They said in August. So they've been shifting the dates.
It was supposed to be April.
Even they moved it to June, then July, August, So all kinds of, terminologies have been coming up. But you see, the president is the Minister of Petroleum. He should deal with the issues in the national interest. He should show patriotism and eschew any personal interest that he has been rumored to have. He should deal with the issue, because let me tell you, Nigeria is bigger than anybody. All of us will go, and Nigeria, by God's grace, will remain. So whatever we enjoy now and eat, or all of it now and all of it, let me tell you, termites, we eat everything in the grave when we are all born, right? Termites, so you can eat the best of food, drink the best of wine and anything now. All those things will become history in the grave. But what will remain is your legacy. And what we are seeing right now is not good for this country. The opacity in the oil industry, the alleged theft of 1 million barrels of crude daily, I don't want to believe that. It's not disappearing to the air. People who are doing all of that, stealing our crude oil, stealing our solid minerals, stealing our timber, they are Nigerians and they live here.
Yeah.
These people are not ghosts. They are Nigerians. And the government should not tell us that it doesn't have the it lacks the capacity to take on them. But you have the capacity to take on unarmed protesters. Then something is wrong. There's a dysfunction somewhere. That there was even an attempt to scuttle Dangote refinery. And some people are defending it. Shows that certain things are wrong with some of us Nigerians. Because I asked somebody, I said, if your father was Dangote, I had a boss then who used to say, when you want to rejoice over somebody's calamity, wait, remove that person, put your father's name there. Put your father's name and then go and be jumping and see how it feels like. Dangote, for whatever you may say against him, at least I believe today he is the largest employer of labor outside of government in Nigeria.
Yes.
You don't joke with that. Even in Africa, I don't know how many African entrepreneurs employ more people than Aliko Dangote. I'm not making a case for him. I don't know him. I've never met him. Don't work for him. But what I'm saying is that we should, just like Dr. King Adesina, the president of the African Development Bank, said, we should promote our indigenous entrepreneurs. If there are issues, they can be dealt with behind closed doors. They can be dealt with privately. You can invite him to a meeting and say, look at Alhaji Aliko. Look at this problem, look at this problem, look at this, look at this, look at this. I've been involved in manufacturing. You know, so two things. GMP, good manufacturing practices. SOP, standard operating procedure. Has he met GMP? Has he met SOP? Then have you tested his products? If there are issues, you can sort them out. Because in exposing ever lead lapses, you are giving a fair advantage to his competitors.
Yes.
To say, okay, this is the problem of this one. Okay, it's a dog whistle. You're not telling them, go and do this. And no regulator does that. No regulator does that. NAFDAC visits factories here and there. But NAFDAC doesn't come and start pushing, okay, when we went here, we saw this. When we went here, we saw something. No, you will write to the people. They are players. This thing has to do with investment, with jobs. They are players. Sort issues out. Then again, we must stop this importation of petroleum products. We have to sell ourselves. It shouldn't be like gas flaring that we have been unable to stop. We keep saying we'll stop. We must put a stop to petroleum. The importation of petroleum products. We also need to stop. Because let me tell you something. It may shock you to know that one of the oil majors has a refinery in Essex in Nigeria. What do? Gas to liquid. They produce diesel, clean diesel. They produce base oils. But you know what? Guess what? All those things they produce are 100% for export. Who pays the subsidy? Nobody. The sharing formula between the joint venture between NNPC and these oil majors is 60-40. NNPC has 60, the oil majors they have 40. And then out of their 40, one of them, has been exporting, products for years, not collecting any subsidy for operating its own facility. So why don't we reduce that 60%, sell 20% to more, operators, so that they can bring in needed funds and then help in terms of oil exploration into everything and move the process forward. And let's see whether we can, by the way, even increase our quota, get to our OPEC quota of 2.2 million barrels per day, and maybe ramp up, raise it to higher levels. Dangote refinery, 650,000 barrels per day, is half of Nigeria's entire production. But you know what? That puts us at an advantage, because the last refinery that was built in the United States was built in 1975. So that puts us at an advantage. Nobody, international businessmen don't want to invest in refineries. But a Nigerian, whom we should be proud of, invested in one of the, in the biggest single trade refinery in the world, he ought to be celebrated. If you have issues with his business practices, now the FCCPC, they should call him. We've seen how, in Europe, in the US, how people, big companies who are accused of antitrust, antitrust violation, we've seen how they were dealt with. Nobody went demarketing them and all that. They just dealt with them, find them, and they continued in business. And they've even, they've even grown into trillion-dollar businesses. So let us eschew personal interest and let the nation succeed. It's not difficult. If we remove personal interest from all of this conversation we're talking about, whether it's fuel subsidy, whether it's floating or whether it is whatever, if we remove personal interest of the rapacious elite, let me tell you the truth, all of these things will be easier. Nigeria is not a difficult country to govern, but how much greed can the nation pay for? That is the problem. So if you deal with all these things, let me tell you, there are things I can't say on air here, which I know. But I will only appeal to those people because they know themselves. Those people are keeping this oil industry down. They know themselves. That please, they should remember that no empire lasts forever. They have enough time now while they are alive to correct the wrong things they are doing to the nation. Because ultimately, all of us will give account of our actions before God.
Of course. All right. A lot has been said, and time is so not close to us. But wrap quickly, so we could wrap up. Any last words? To add to the fact that all of this is happening at a time when people are rolling out, they're taking their businesses out of Nigeria.
Even businesses are running businesses are running away.
Yes, and then we have someone coming, to build something that everyone has not wanted to do.
Even globally.
You see, it's an irony to also at this time where you have hundreds of companies folded up and disappeared into thin air, and the invest confidence is at the lowest ebb,
and someone
has stuck his neck into the economy and insisted that something must be done differently, only for that individual to get back boats, as they say. So the issue here is that how are you encouraging someone like me or you or to also come forward? Aliko Dangote, actually, his friend was taunting him that we told you
not to,
for an individual, but this is something I want Nigerians to know. For if Aliko Dangote could be going through this, what do you think the dispatch rider goes
The ordinary people
on the
selling pepper, granite, and the rest of them.
The woman who hawks the sachet water in the market, what do we bother care to know what she goes through? Now the issue here is this: I'm very, very scared for this country, except we change ways. For reason being, we can't allow what happened in Liberia with Samuel Doe incident to happen here. Look, when you think you enjoy so much because politics is the biggest enterprise for now, and the bubble bursts, then it becomes, you're going to have, God forbid, people like Samuel Doe in control of such humongous enterprise like Nigeria. And what he will do with it will be so brutal. So we don't want this experience in this climb. You understand? We do not want it. I hope people go and research and read about what I just said. Who was Samuel Doe and all that. And he became a head of state, and it was like, wow, a sergeant. So, but it didn't happen overnight. So the political elite must also come to terms with reality on the field, on the ground, in education, in economy, in the security. You only have IG dishing on that because there is no anarchy. When, God forbid, we have issues like Cambodia, Cameroon, and Liberia, and the Sierra Leone, there will be no one as IG function. There will be no one dishing orders. You have kids of 6 years carrying AK-47 roaming. God forbid that in Nigeria.
God forbid, it won't happen.
You see the things. Nigeria is the only country that millions of us have. There are many of those politicians who have dual citizenship. So if there's any issue in Nigeria, they are running away. But where will we run to? Is it at my age, at this age, I'll go to another country and start working so hard to get a citizenship? Come on, I can't do that. There are many of us who were born here and we will live here, do it, and will die here. This is our country. We don't want to destroy this country. But you know what? We want this country to be better run. We want people to eschew greed. The biggest problem there is greed. If they can eschew greed and do the right things, curb waste, curb this governance, reduce cost of governance, do the right things, curb corruption, let those that steal no more, let them return what is stolen. This country is going to be better. This country, look, even foreigners, like one Buhari said, will start looking for Nigerian citizenship. Yeah, that's happened before. Yes, and it's going to. We have great Dangote. You have the Dangote. You have the Innocence. You have Nigerian banks whose market capitalization is even more than the GDP of many African countries. We have greatness in this country.
Yes, we do.
But you know what? Remove greed, and this country will flourish.
All right. We continually have hope that the country will flourish someday. We'll definitely get to the light at the end of the tunnel. Although some people don't believe the light at the end of this tunnel, but I think we'll definitely get to that point.
Is it band A light? Depending on the band.
So thank you so much,